The 180th edition of the Roy's Boys podcast starts right now.
Carolina basketball family is the strongest there's ever been, there ever will be.
Nate Humphrey hands King Rice the ball. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good. Off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout. But the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma. Been ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores.
With 20 seconds left to play. Goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good! 63, 62, 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Brent Brown looking. All the way to Worthy. 35. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul.
Brown gets it into Williams. Comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short rebound. It's over. And how about the Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
The Tar Heels are the national dadgum champions.
And that's what it takes when you big time games. You got to compete. You do it with your brain, and you got to do it with your heart too. And that's pretty doggone good.
From QCBroadcasting.com, this is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Josh Marlowe. Hey, everyone, welcome to another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast. We are powered by Carolina Electrical Services. Josh and Anthony, with Anthony on the phone with you guys tonight. We're back to talk about Carolina and Virginia. That game will happen on Saturday night, 6 o'clock in Charlottesville. Carolina will look to snap a rather long losing streak against the Cavaliers in the John Paul Jones Arena. Before we get to that preview, buddy, let's go back to Tuesday. As the program was still dealing with the fallout from Monday's game being canceled due to concerns about COVID-19 within the Carolina program after the video of the guys partying got leaked onto the internet early on Monday morning. So both the Carolina basketball team released a statement and Roy Williams released a statement. I'll read both, and then we'll just kind of react to those statements. So here is the men's basketball players on Tuesday. Saturday night, a number of players and managers, not just the ones shown on the video that was seen, got to go to celebrate our win at Duke. Our intention was to celebrate privately within our group. Unfortunately, we allowed several friends who were not members of the team to join the gathering. We were inside and not wearing masks, which were mistakes. We apologize for not adhering to the university's and the athletic department's guidelines, and apologize to Coach Williams and his staff for not stepping forward when he first addressed it with us on Sunday. We have worked too hard for 8 months doing the right things to make those kind of mistakes at this point in the season. We are hopeful we'll be able to play again soon and wish to remind everyone to stay safe so this pandemic will be over as soon as possible. That was the Carolina basketball team. Here is head coach Roy Williams. I appreciate the players voicing their apology. They made a mistake. They've been fantastic for more than 8 months in the way that they've dealt with the whole situation with the virus. But they realize they did make a mistake for which they are paying a very significant price. I think, Roy Williams' name is going to get more attention because he's the head coach. But let's talk about what the team issued out first, because I think there's a lot of things that you really take away from this. First off, and this is what I took away, there was more than just Armando Bacot and Day'Ron Sharpe at that party. Those are just the two guys that we saw on the video. That's the first thing. And secondly, and maybe the most important thing, maybe this is what's disappointing in terms of leadership, stuff like that with our team. This was brought up, I'm assuming, Sunday at practice or just in a team setting situation, and nothing was mentioned about it. And we could have gotten ahead of this thing on Sunday instead of it being Monday afternoon, 2 hours before tip-off. What was your initial reactions to both these statements that came out from the program on Tuesday afternoon?
So, on the player front, I took away basically the same thing that you did from that statement. Now, again, there's no confirmation. None of us were at the party. No one has confirmed exactly who was at the party. Hell, they can barely confirm where the party was even at. But what we do know is that there were players there. It went against the protocols. There's a reason why the game was canceled. I disagree with you a little bit about the fact that the game could have been canceled earlier. Remember, the game was canceled by Miami, and it was a choice where, I mean, look, there's a ton of different rumors out there. One of them is that pretty much all the Miami players have bought into playing, and then at the last minute, one backed out, leading to a couple other guys saying, yeah, maybe he's got a point. We probably shouldn't play the game, whatever. So I don't know how avoidable that actually would have been, because Carolina wasn't the one that actually decided not to play the game. It was really, they said, look, it was mutual. But I do think that Miami was the one that initiated the conversation, and rightfully so.
Right.
That was, that's their choice. And in the current climate that we're in with COVID-19, it's 100% understandable. But that was, the takeaway that I had from it. I think the thing that, is concerning when you hear that is, look, we talked about on the last podcast that, suspensions could probably be in play here. We think that probably a one-game suspension would make the most sense here. But at this point, I mean, you're going to, you just have to wonder how many guys were at this party. And, if it's 4, 5, 6 guys, all of a sudden you're talking about, potentially some really big names being, out for the game against Virginia, probably getting down to, sort of the area, maybe even where Boston College is at right now. Boston College just played a game the other night with 5 scholarship players on their entire roster.
Yeah.
That was due to COVID. But you could approach that area if that's the route that they decide to take. But you know what? We still really don't have a clue as to what exactly is going to happen. I don't think that it's going to be publicized. I think if they end up getting suspended, it will probably be something that we'll find out when we step onto the court and don't see those guys on Saturday. But we'll have to wait and see. I think it definitely got a lot more interesting with the statement that was released by the players. But the other thing that we, again, have to caution, and it's because of what we saw after we did the podcast, was that, you had Christine Lomax, who is Armando Bacot's mother, reveal the fact that he has received death threats, other, threatening comments and stuff like that. Again, that is pathetic, ridiculous, scumbag humans that would send something like that over a damn party. It's a party. Any other year in college, I'm telling you, if you had 10 people at a party, people would laugh at you and be like, "Are you kidding me? What kind of party is this?" But I mean, look, it's understandable that there will be some people that are upset about it.
Right.
The people that should be upset about it are head coach Roy Williams, the players on the team, the parents of the players. So those are the people that should be mad. Even as fans, you don't really have a right to be overly angry about this and be calling these guys out on social media, because you're not in their situation. You don't know, what you would have done in that situation. Peer pressure is a real thing. We've all been there. If one guy's going to a party and, you're hanging out with those guys, you say, "Oh, I don't know if I should really go." You know those guys are going to turn around to you and say, "Dude, what are you, square? Come on. Like, you should be going to this party, dude. It's not a big deal." So, look, college kids do stupid things all the time. With COVID, this is just focused on a little bit differently than it normally would be. And it's important for us to remember that these guys are still college kids, guys that are going to make mistakes. Even adults make mistakes like this sometimes. Not everybody is as mature, I guess, as some of these people on social media that can send death threats.
Like myself.
They're mature people. That's the thing. I think it's great how they're trying to tell these guys that they're immature by sending a death threat. which is just unbelievably immature. I mean, am I right or am I right?
You're right. I do think as fans we have a right to be disappointed, because I'm disappointed and I'm mad at them, mainly for one reason. I loved the idea of getting that game out of their system following what was coming off the emotional win against Duke and getting ready for Virginia. This could not have happened at a worse time looking at the schedule and from my mindset going into the game against the Cavaliers. And with that, we're going to transition into previewing the game against UVA, because as of Thursday night of which we're recording, we're anticipating that game to be played as scheduled. And as you mentioned, we don't really know if anything's going to happen in terms of suspensions and stuff like that, because we'll probably find out, as you said, an hour before tip-off or whatever, when Roy Williams has to tell the officials who's playing and who's not. So, for me as a Tar Heel fan, I hate Duke because I have to hate Duke, and I hate NC State because it's NC State. My hatred for Virginia is very real. It exists. And so I had this whole idea of we're going to beat Miami, and then I have 5 days to trick myself that we can beat this team. Go into their building and win for the first time since 2012 when that team went in there and won. After Monday's game got canceled, I feel like that option got taken away because it's just too tough of a task to come off of. You're once again going a week in between games, which is now the third or fourth time they've done that in the ACC part of their season due to COVID. And we've seen how much that has affected any team, especially a team as young as Carolina, where rhythm really means a lot. And on the flip side, Virginia's really good. They're 14-3. They're 10-1 in the league. Tony Bennett has those guys playing a high level of basketball like we all expected them to at the beginning of the season. And it's on both ends of the court. This will be the best defensive team Carolina has seen all year long. The second best team is probably Clemson, and we all know what happened at Clemson. They scored 50 points. They looked god-awful. It's going to be tougher on Saturday to score the ball. But what really makes Virginia so much tougher to beat now is Key Clark's a really good, effective player. They've brought in Sam Hauser, a Marquette transfer. You've got Jay Huff. They are I'm not going to say an elite basketball team on the offensive end of the court, but this is the best offensive team statistically Tony Bennett maybe has had since he took over the program in Charlottesville. They're averaging 71 points per game. They shoot 50% from the field. This is as steep a test for Carolina as we've seen from them all season long.
Well, the good news about them being a really good offensive team this year is that they are coming off of one of their worst offensive games season. They scored 20 points in the first half against Georgia Tech last night of the night recording. And they did end up winning the game, but they only scored 57. But what it shows, they held that team to 49. They are still capable of being a team that can lock you down. They're still top 10 in defensive efficiency, defensive scoring. I know it's still up in there in the top 10. I watched one of their games earlier this year. I can't remember which game it was. I had it on in the background. And they were just losing their mind over the fact that this team was 8th in scoring defense. That's the highest that they've been in, I think it was 5 or 6 years. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But again, it continues to show that this team is still an elite defensive team, and now they've got the offensive prowess to be able to cause you issues. Hauser, that's the guy that concerns me the most. The transfer from Marquette, he has really come into his own here at Virginia, where, he's been separated from his brother. He doesn't have to play behind Marcus Howard, right? That was the star card that they Marquette last couple of years. So now he's become a big focus. Like you mentioned, Kihei Clark, look, he's not a guy that's going to blow you away with the way that he plays at times, but he's a guy that takes care of the basketball. He can move the ball extremely well. And then you've also got Jay Huff on the inside who, I don't know if he's quite been as good as some people thought he was going to become, but he's still a really solid big, got the size, he can rebound, And I think that's, that's the thing. This Virginia team still poses some threats